Okay, guys, we got the recording going. Just let me get started as a point, kind of quick introduction. Timing, I only give myself no more than 2 minutes to respect everybody else's opportunity to talk. So just to say, this is our, that's our coordinates, and everybody's asking, how can I know the number? By how can I read the number, even though it's pointing to the camera? It's 325-804-5111. Our password 285.
5811.
Oh, yes, 325-804-5811 with a
Yeah,
password.
good. You
Password
didn't say the right number.
Password 285-775. And if you wonder, how do I read it? How do I know?
It's written on the other side.
That's right.
Genius.
So,
He remembers everything Baal Peh.
yeah.
You could be a magician.
So we're gonna start. I think Ruben is changing his camera. We're gonna continue. Last time we sort of like the theme was evolving, that faith versus science, science versus faith, faith and science, science and faith, science and faith, faith and science, all combinations. And then there's some suggestion come in. David suggested, listen, why don't we look at it how the classics, so to speak, look at it? Rambam, Ezra, whatnot. And so we decided to kind of kick it off within this perspective from, hello?
Lev,
Yes,
Trisha, Lev,
Chris, how are you?
David,
How
and
are you?
Menachem.
Welcome,
Menachem
welcome.
from Brighton.
Yes, seriously,
From Brighton.
our expanding group, see, our expanding group. Last time Reuven had his little new grandson also, he was showing us off. So we have men, women, children. We don't discriminate. Everything.
No dogs.
So, okay, so in that thing, we started faith versus science. We discussed it. We all understand that the process. David said, let's see what classic says about it. And Rambam is, I have to let you out a little secret. Rambam is David's favorite. He's a big fan of Rambam. So we'll tell him to kick it off, maybe, David. Start maybe 6.5 minutes for the kickoff, and he'll come back with a comments. David, go for it.
Okay. So when it comes to the subject of faith and science, and I would say not faith and science, but faith and reality, faith and realism, and how do you like mend the two? I think the Rambam is probably the greatest. And the reason is that the Rambam sort of made, although he was a very conservative man of halacha, he was a very, I would say, he was a very, Reuben, hello. I just started speaking about the Rambam. Although the Rambam was a conservative when it comes to halacha, he was a very how should I put it? He was a very brave, very brave and groundbreaking, I think, in philosophy. And the reason I started my journey into Judaism is because of this man. You see him? This is Yeshayahu Leibovitz. Yes, Yeshayahu Leibovitz was for Yeshayahu Leibovitz, Judaism was the Rambam. So it was the Torah, the Torah Shebel Peh, and the Rambam. That's it. That's and some people say that Yeshayahu Leibovitz was the Rambam for this age, and I think that God has used Yeshayahu Leibovitz as a secret weapon. And I think that Yeshayahu Leibovitz is a secret weapon for bringing atheist, non-faithful Jews to Judaism. So if it wasn't for Yeshayahu Leibovitz, this Zoom meeting, with me at least, would never have existed. And Yeshayahu Leibovitz, the reason that I found myself basically in Judaism is the way, the philosophical way of Yeshayahu Leibovitz and I just want to read something.
Where did you start?
What?
Where were you before you came across Leibovich, and how did you come across Leibovich?
It's
Okay.
well, I think it's a matter for different because I want to talk about the Rambam, not about myself.
No, but I want to understand why this made such an impression on you.
Because I am a die-hard realist. And
But where did you start religious-wise before you discovered Leibovich?
2020, I started, my journey, so to speak, into Judaism 2 years ago.
But where did the journey start? Haifa, New Jersey?
No, in my head.
But before that, you were secular totally.
Yes.
Okay, good. No, I need to understand where you're starting from.
No, I was completely secular, but I started because I was learning just by myself, not in some sort of academy or something in the school. I was learning about Islam and Christianity, and if I found myself knowing a lot about Islam and Christianity, but very little about Judaism. And I said, man, you gotta know something about Judaism. And so and so
that's not
going
unusual
deeper.
for the Jews.
Yes, deeper and deeper. Yeah, absolutely. I want to read something about Yeshayahu Leibovich. I will read. This is in Hebrew, and I will get to the Rambam in a couple of minutes. I will read this in Hebrew and I will translate. So, משהגיע שעתו של ישעיהו ליבוביץ' להיות נפטר מן העולם, נתבקש הוא לישיבה של מעלה, בעלותו על יצורו לישון שנתו בליל י"א אלול תשנ"ד. ממסד המלאכים לא קיבל את ליבוביץ', היות ובשעת חייו הרגיז יותר מדי בני אדם. ליבוביץ' הועמד בפני בית דין של מעלה, ובמשפטו היו כפות המאזניים כמעט שקולות, וחסרה לו זכות מועטת על מנת להיכנס לגן עדן. ברוב קולות נידון ליבוביץ' לגיהינום, כנגד דעתו של ריבונו של עולם. כדרכו תמיד בחייו, קיבל ליבוביץ' את הכרעת הדין באהבה, ולפני שקיים אותה בפועל, עמד וברך בשם ובמלכות. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו ללכת לגיהינום.
אמן.
הייתה זו אותה מנת זכות שחסרה לו כדי להיכנס לגן העדן.
Who wrote this?
ושם עלינו בכל שעה ושעה.
Would you say who wrote this? Who wrote what you just said?
What?
Who wrote what you just said? Leibowitz said Yeshayahu Leibowitz wrote what you just said?
No.
No.
Yeah, who wrote this?
This was written after he died.
Yeah, right. So who wrote this? This is like a pretty
the person who wrote this is Professor Shalom Rosenberg. He's also a rabbi. So what this little story says is that when Yeshayahu Leibovich died, he went up to the heavens, and basically the angels did not. They decided against God, against the opinion of God, to send him to hell, because he made a lot of people mad in this world. He got a lot of people angry. And so finally, the verdict was that he's going to hell. It was very, very little, because the Moznaim, right? The how do you call it? How do you say in English?
Scales.
Moznaim. How?
Scales. I don't know.
The scale, right, was very, it was almost 50-50. But the verdict, again, against the word of God, was that he goes to hell. And so Yeshayahu Leibovich said, like he always said, he got the verdict, he accepted it with love and said, blessed thou our Lord that gave us his commandments and commanded me to go to hell. And that's why God said, no, he goes to heaven. And so Leibovich was a lot of people who talked to him, interviewed him, and as we will see soon, going through through the Rambam, many people believe that he was a complete atheist, total atheist, and a total atheist. But he was a very, just like the Rambam, he was very strict. He was a complete Orthodox Jew. Was praying 3 times a day in Minyan. I think that he never missed a prayer, and that will not surprise me. And he was a scientist. He was a doctor. Although he was a medical doctor, but he did not practice. He was a professor in a university. He was a neuroscientist.
Where? What university?
The Hebrew University in Jerusalem.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was a neuroscientist and biochemist and many things. And
he was on the faculty there?
What?
He was on the faculty?
He was on, yeah, he was, in Hebrew they say Professor Mina Minyan. He was a professor in the university.
What were his years there? Roughly.
Well, I think he went to retired in the 1970s.
Okay.
Because he started in the 1930s.
Okay.
And
okay, I'm looking on Wikipedia.
He died in 1994.
Joined the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences in the Hebrew University of Jerusalem in 1936. He became professor in biochemistry in 1941. He was promoted to the position of organic chemistry and neurology in 1952. There you are.
So
yeah, thanks. I was going to look that. That's marvelous. Thank you.
Okay, so Leibovich was a Rambamist, and through Leibovich, it was through Leibovich that I found a way within myself as a diehard realist I found a way to practice Judaism without thinking I'm completely insane. And so this is why I say that Leibovich was God's secret weapon. And I think he is a secret weapon for many people. Because if you ask me, even Menachem Mendel would not have been able to bring me to Judaism. And Mendy, you're a great guy, but it's just not enough. It's just not enough. I need someone honestly, brutally honest, like Leibovich. So the Rambam. So the reason I love the Rambam is the same reason.
Menachem Mendel did say you're honest, but not brutal.
Yes, that's right. So so through Leibovich, I started digging on Rambam, and I didn't know anything about Rambam. So the first thing the thing that got me is that the Rambam was probably the Rambam is not I would say not a secret weapon, but the Rambam is a danger. And as far as I know, the Rambam is not taught in yeshivas a lot. Just I guess when it comes to halacha, what the Rambam says about this, what the Rambam says about
the
that.
Mishnah Torah is
Torah,
taught, but
right.
Mishnah Torah. More Nebuchim is avoided.
Yes, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about, because this is my copy of Moreh Nevuchim. It comes in 2 volumes, and so the first thing I want to read, the Moreh Nevuchim is the Rambam's last great work after Perush Mishnah, commentary on the Mishnah, and the Mishnah Torah. The Rambam's I would say, how should I put it? The Rambam's
magnum opus.
Magnum opus of all the magnum opus. Thank you. Of all the mitzvot, all the commandments from the Torah and the Talmud, put together in a systematic in a systematic sort of method of everything, how it should be done. And also it was a very controversial book. The Mishnah Torah even was burned by some Jewish communities because the Rambam did not mention his sources for all the different verdicts of halacha, the different psikot, why to do this, who said what, when did they say that. He didn't give the sources. He just said, this is what you do, and that's it. And you should listen. You should do that because I say so. So that was the Rambam.
He thought his
The Rambam was quite an elitist. He was quite an elitist fellow. But here is one thing. Here is the way Moreh Nevuchim is open. So the Moreh Nevuchim. So after the Mishnah Torah, the Rambam wrote Moreh Nevuchim. The Moreh Nevuchim is written, the Guide to the Perplexed. It's written in a way as if it's a letter to someone. We don't really know if it was actually written. At least I don't. I am not sure if it was written for someone or if it was written as if it's for someone. Some people think it was written actually for one of the Rambam's students in Egypt. I don't remember his name, but he moved from Egypt to Syria, to a Jewish community in Syria, and he was one of the Rambam's best students. And so the Rambam, according to this theory, the Rambam wrote all of the articles that have become Moreh Nevuchim. He wrote to this student. So the reason this is called the Guide for the Perplexed is basically the Rambam explains that this book is not for everyone. It's not for everyone to read, and it's definitely not for the stupid people. And this is how the book opens. This is what it says in the Rambam's language, in his own Hebrew. It says, מטרתו הראשונה של ספר זה להסביר משמעויותיהם של שמות המופיעים בספרי הנבואה. חלק מן השמות האלה שמות משותפים, והשכלים, this word, השכלים, means the stupid people, פרשום באחת מן המשמעויות שעליהן נאמר שם משותף זה. So basically what the Rambam says is that this book is, with some other things, is about the meaning of different, what he calls shemot. It's not really names, but it's about, I would say, terms that appear in the Torah that the stupid people, when he says stupid people, he says, well, the people who are not me, so to speak,
basket of deplorables,
interpreted them in the wrong way. Interpreted them in the wrong way. So the Rambam's goal basically was to do two things in the Moreh Nevuchim. One is to basically destroy every possibility of an image of God. And the way he's doing that is by, he created this thing, it's called the Torah HaShlila. Basically he says that you cannot imagine God, even when you pray, and even if you imagine a king sitting on a chair, that's already idol worshiping. So he wanted to write as strongly as he could.
Was he approach, David? Was he approach essentially Kabbalistic, very like non-physical?
No,
rationalistic.
Rationalistic.
No, yes, absolutely rationalistic. Up to the point.
The negative definition of God, only what he isn't, you can say. You can't say what he is.
You cannot. There's basically nothing you can say about God. And if you want to talk about God, you basically should shut up. But you can't say what God is not. So God, if you want to say that God is good, you should say God is not good. If you want to say that God
No, he's
is
not,
great,
he said you can say negative, you can say what he's not bad, he's not evil and so forth, but you can't say, you can't give positive attributes. That's what I
yes, you
remember.
cannot give it. You cannot say anything positive about God. That's a complete. It makes God a complete sort of
Untangible.
Unapproachable.
unapproachable completely to the human brain. There's nothing you can say
But
about
wouldn't you say there may be similarities to Tanya Menachem Mendel? Because Tanya also has this type of approach. You can't fully comprehend God. We can only relate to it by his manifestations. Is there similarities in that? Am I missing
No,
something?
there is no similarities because God has no manifestations. Now,
yes.
wait
Hang
a
on.
minute.
In answer to Lev's question, the answer is yes. And according to Chabad, we believe that Rambam was a very great Kabbalist, and he knew all Kabbalah extremely well. Although there's a lot of people who are against that understanding. Anyway, and there's a lot of hints
About that Mormonuvuchim. He seems to
Yeah,
hint
it's a
that he
complete-
knows the
yes.
Kabbalah. It's only these initiated can understand what he's talking about.
right.
He's
There's
only
a
going to
very
give
lot
the
of hints.
he calls it chapter headings of
This is what I also
Maaseh
understood.
Bereshis v'Maaseh Merkava.
This
Okay,
is how my
so-
understanding was. What the kind of what was
You're
David
not
and
letting
Menachem
me.
said.
You're not letting me get into it.
Okay, go
David,
ahead.
this is a lot. This is a long 5 minutes, David.
Yeah, I know, but this is the Rambam, and this is Jewish 5 minutes.
I tell you, we'll give you
I
another
do
five.
continue.
We'll give you another five.
Okay, so
All
the
ears.
thing is, number one, the Rambam could not be Kabbalistic because the Zohar did not exist during the life of the Rambam. So the Rambam didn't know the Zohar.
Yeah, but it was
the
written by
Zohar-
Rabbi Akiva.
What?
It was the
What?
time around in the time of Rabbi Akiva. So
No, that's a lie, and you know that. Now, that's a complete lie.
that's two opinions. That's two opinions.
No, that's a lie. What you're saying is a lie. The
The
Zohar
tradition
was
started
written.
with
The Zohar
Avraham
was,
Avinu.
the Zohar was written in Spain, 50 years after the Rambam's death. So there's no way the Rambam.
David, that's not the only opinion. There's many other opinions just as valid.
No. There's the truth. There's the truth, and there's your opinion on the truth.
No, wait a minute, David. There's 5 people here. Not everybody
I don't
shares your
care.
view.
I don't care. You're wrong.
You don't
The
have to.
Zohar
This is
did
what
not
you-
exist.
You don't
this is
I
have
what
don't
to.
care.
You
This is
don't.
the thing.
But
I don't care.
But you don't have
Even
to
if there's
care.
5,000 people,
You don't
I
have.
could not care less if you're giving me shit. Okay?
Well,
The Zohar did not exist.
let's be careful with
Let's
strong
hear
words.
David's opinion. We
We
haven't
don't
heard
need
it
to
yet.
This
What?
is not an opinion. This is not. I'm giving you historical facts. If there's 5,000 people saying the sky is yellow, then I don't care that the sky is what you think about the sky.
David, listen, this is fine with us. You can believe it all you want. We don't. I said no. Other people don't necessarily agree.
Yeah,
You cannot disagree about the truth.
We can.
That's
We can.
not a possibility.
You can.
course
You're
we
not
can.
the only one.
No,
who
you
knows the
can't.
truth.
No. If you disagree with me that 1 and 1 is 2, then I'm sorry, but you're psycho.
it's okay. So I'm a psycho. I believe 1 + 1 is 3, and the
Okay.
sky is orange.
Okay.
Me too.
Then
Me too. I believe one.
okay,
I
so
believe 1
we
and
should
3 is
hospitalize
7.
you.
David, I believe 1 + 3 and 7. I
What?
do. I believe 1 and 3 and 7. Menachem Mendel 1 and 3 and 5. Nothing wrong with that.
So no, it's wrong because it makes you people insane.
It's okay to be.
How can you have an honest discussion when you deny historical facts?
Because we
You
can have
cannot
another
have a
discussion. We can have another discussion. How do you know that this is truth, and how do you define truth?
How do you know that it is not?
No, it's if you're the one who's stating it, it's the burden of proof is on you to prove the truth.
No. Listen, if you go,
You're
to
stating
any
something
historic-
strongly.
if you go to any historical source, I had this discussion with Lev. This is driving me crazy. If you go to any historical source, there is not one historical source that says that the Zohar was written by Reb Shimon Bar Yochai in a cave when he was sitting down in the sand for 13 years.
David, there are historical sources.
So yeah, where did
Yeah,
that
so
idea
they're
come
all
from?
religious. They're all religious, and they're all
No,
biased.
no, they're not all religious.
Yes, they
No.
are.
How do you, I
Okay, so
know,
give me one.
I
Give
know,
me one.
I give you one, but it will,
Wait.
not today. We won't
Why
have time.
hasn't anyone, you know, there's one thing in Jewish history that you probably know, and Menachem, you probably know this as well, because you have many, many books. And the one thing in Jewish history is that when someone writes a book, they usually they either comment or they quote previous books and previous rabbis. Why is there no quote, not one quote
There
of the
is.
Zohar
There is.
before the 13th century?
David, I'm trying to tell you, there are other books. There are religious and non-religious. I know them. You may not.
Okay.
You want to hear
Lev,
the
you're the
sources?
one.
I'll
Lev,
tell you next
Lev,
time.
I just
Lev,
want to add
you're
one.
the one, Lev, you're the one who told me. You are the one who told me that you knowingly chose to believe that what is written in the Torah is the truth, even if what you see with your own eyes is different 180 degrees from what's written in the Torah. I think you made the wrong choice.
David, we cannot, maybe you're right in what I chose, but that's not the point.
There's no such thing as maybe with the truth.
Listen,
Are we on
listen.
Zoom or not?
Hold
Is
on,
this
hold
a
on, hold on.
fantasy or not?
David, hold
Maybe
on.
we should take a
David, hold on.
step back.
Adrian sitting there and laughing his ass off at this conversation.
David, wait a minute. David, wait a second. Menachem, hold a second. Listen, you put just me do 1 minute and I'll come back and let you finish. I'm not talking about Torah that you and I discussed. I'm not talking about anything else. All I said, listen to me carefully. I said, stick with the point. You said you don't know any sources. I'm telling you, I do. I know the sources. You can, if you tell me that because I believe in Torah and believe in this, it's entirely different subject. I'm telling you, I have the sources that tell you that Torah was written before. I do. In order to answer and bring you quotes, it'll take time. I'm not going to give you sources right now, but I'm just saying I have the sources. You don't. I do. I'll show you some other time. I just don't have time right now. Please continue.
Okay. The Rambam was not Kabbalistic at all. He was extremely rational to the point of almost to the point of atheism. But I'm not going to, I don't think I'm going to get there. But this book is the reason that it's dangerous is because it puts the text of the Torah itself as basically what the Rambam says in this is that believing the Torah in its complete pshat, in its complete, that just the way it is that's the stuff of kindergarten stuff. That's the stuff of legend. And so you have to understand the Torah in terms of the way it is connected to nature and to life itself. So
we have 7 minutes, guys.
Yeah. So well.
Okay, this was a long 5 minutes. But we're going again after this 7 minutes, right? Until 9 o'clock. Okay.
We can go if everybody agrees. We can do it. It will be okay.
I'm looking for the.
Just another point, David, is that we know the Mishnah wasn't written down until years after it was given by Mount Sinai. I'm just saying the general belief over here. And there was concern that it was going to be forgotten, so therefore they wrote down the Mishnah and then they wrote down the Gemara. The same thing traditionally is with the Zohar, is that this was also given on Mount Sinai and passed down through generation until it was coming to a point where they needed to write it down, and then Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote it down. This
doesn't work with me.
This is traditionally how the story goes.
Traditionally, you can say anything you want. I don't care what tradition says. I only care how things happen really in history. If you find that funny, well.
No, I tell you what.
David, hold on. I don't think Menachem finds it funny. He's got sources different from
No,
yours.
I
He's got
think
traditional. Listen,
You don't
he's
know
got
it
traditional
here.
sources.
You don't know. He has a lot of books. He has a lot of books to read. He hasn't
Okay.
told you. He hasn't told you
don't
what
have-
1% of books he read. You cannot assume that he doesn't know something until you know he doesn't.
I can assume anything I want because
You
can believe
can,
anything
you can, but you
That's
cannot
what you
say.
said.
But you can say that I can listen. I cannot. I assume that when Adrian is talking about medicine and liver, he knows what he's talking about because this man has 50 years experience in liver. I can
That's
assume
right.
when Reuven Wolf is talking about medical things, I trust him because he's got 50 years experience. I assume when Menachem is telling me about religious background, he knows what he's talking about. You and I have been to his room, get a lot of books. What exactly he knows, he doesn't know. I cannot judge him. I can't say what he doesn't know. All I know what he knows. And I know something else. Menachem knows probably 1,000 times more about Torah than I do. That I know.
I'm
And
not
I'm not
sure.
going to
I think
argue with him
Adrian has
about
more
some
books.
book before I read what he read. So when you say
Lev,
you have a
Torah
right
Tzaddik.
to believe one way, but you can't assume that somebody else doesn't know because you don't know to know we don't.
No, I'm not saying he doesn't know. I'm saying that what he says, and he said it himself, is that this is the traditional, and maybe that's the traditional Chabad thinking that the Mishnah,
He didn't say
with
that.
all the
He didn't say
the
that.
machlokot,
I
he
was
just
listening
said
to
it that the
him. I
Zohar
was
came down to
listening.
Moshe
I was
and
listening.
Sinai as
Yeah,
well.
he did say that, but he said other things. I have it on tape. He said other things. You said he only said it. He said more than that. He
Okay.
didn't refer
So
only to
did the
traditional.
Mishnah come down to Moses on Mount Sinai with all the machlokot between Rabbi Shimon ben
Menachem,
Gamliel
let you
and
answer.
Rabbi Yosei?
Menachem,
Yes, Yonah. My question to you before this is how are you defining truth in when you're saying it over here? Because I think the concept of truth over here is also blurred. I don't know what you're referring to when you're saying true. Like I don't know what happened yesterday. I don't know what happened an hour ago. I can't prove to you what happened an hour ago. So my question to you, you're very passionate that this is truth, and anyone who denies it is like as clear to you as 1 + 1. My question is, how do you know? What is your proof? What's
Because
your
I
proof?
believe, because I tend to
You
believe
believe?
more.
Okay. It's a belief?
Oh, you got me there, right? You got me there on that word.
I'm asking you.
Right.
I don't understand it.
When I read few sources that claim the same, and they are not biased, but they are based on research, I believe them more than someone who would tell me, I saw hands coming down from the sky and pushing away Egyptian tanks in the Yom Kippur War. And I have it on tape. Okay, where's the tape? I lost it. Okay. Are you a schmuck? Yes. Okay. So, so here's one thing that I really like.
We're getting somewhere. Keep going, Dave. We're getting somewhere. It's very interesting. Rambam is right at it.
Rambam, if the Rambam would read the Zohar, he would probably commit a suicide.
He read Zohar.
No, he didn't, because the Zohar was not there.
I have a book that
It didn't exist.
I have a source.
Exist in the days of the Rambam. It just didn't exist in the days of the Rambam.
Listen,
it was not there.
David, I have a source that says he read it.
Well, I have a source that says he didn't.
That means he both read it and didn't. Nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
He might have just glanced at it.
If you know, one of the things is objectivity. And we live in times where objectivity is under attack. Now, it's on the attack by media, mostly by media, and we don't know. You know, it's also in this today's problem with transgender ideology. They say, oh, there's no there's no such thing as a woman. Anyone can be a woman. You just identify as a woman. Identify as a woman.
What does Rambam say about that?
No, I'm giving you an
example.
example.
What does Rambam say about that?
The Rambam didn't talk about transgenderism because it wasn't an issue.
Then let's not worry about it. Let's just talk about what he did talk.
I'm giving you an example. You say, so okay, you have a source that says that he did have the Zohar, and I say that I have sources that this Zohar did
I
not
have it right
exist.
here.
Okay, then go on and read it.
I can't read it now. We only have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay, so we go on to another session.
Guys, let's do this. That's good. That's 1 minute left. We're very excellent. Absolutely. I tell you quickly, 1 minute before we finish. What the best thing I like about sessions, when we talked about it, my phone rang. Did you hear that? I put on mute.
No, it was my
Then-
phone.
And then, no, my phone did. And that was my son from America. And I complained bitterly to everybody that kids and grandkids don't call me often enough. And
Right.
when my son calls me sometimes, I say it's a blessed day. And today, just in the middle of discussion on Zoom, my son called. So I say it, for me, our discussion is absolutely lovely. I don't mind to talk for 10 hours if my son calls me for 10 hours in a row. So I just want to share with you that I'm very happy.
I want to hear Adrian and Reuven's input on this.
Well, let's do this, guys. 40 seconds. Let's log off and come back in. We'll call it our dessert session, the ice cream.
Afikoman.
Afikoman.
Afikoman.